That's cool. That everyone thought that he was.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We have a smaller group. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today's guest is someone truly special and someone I've been looking forward to all year. When I first joined Watson 3 years ago, a kind smile stopped by my office to introduce himself. Hi, my name's Aarif. That small moment left a lasting impression, and as the years went on, Aarif became the embodiment of goodness, honesty, and sincerity. He has a rare gift. He has the ability to make anyone he's speaking to truly feel like the most important person in the room. Beyond that, he was a force at Watson. He took full advantage of every resource, led his peers with quiet strength, and ran a successful venture, always humble in seeking guidance. While his departure was bittersweet for all of us, true to who he is, Aarif never truly left. His impact continued, and even after graduating, he still stops by my office with that same kind smile. Since graduating, Aarif has dedicated himself to helping our local kids with challenging circumstances. Through mentorship and extracurricular programs, he has created opportunities for them to reach their full potential. Aarif has sat in your very seats, attended these very impact series, and has experienced AHOD just like you. Now he's here to share his journey and his story with all of you. So I ask for your full undivided attention. Please kindly remove your AirPods. Please refrain from being on your cell phones and refrain from any breaks in between. You will get a break at 11. And with that said, please join me in giving me a very warm Watson welcome to Mr. Aarif Khan.
That was really sweet. Thank you. I didn't know I was getting all that. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so first things first, my name is Air. For those of y'all who don't know me, I know a lot of you in this room. I just wanted to say a couple things before I get started. For one, it's a true honor for me to be here with you guys right now. Like Sarika said, like it wasn't too long ago, I was right here in your shoes at Impact Series workshops and, at AHODs, doing the classes, all that stuff. So it's really a full circle moment for me right now to be here with you all as the Impact Series leader, right? So I appreciate you all for being here. Brought it early on time. I really appreciate that. And I want to get into what we're going to be talking about today. The title of my workshop, for one, Impact Requires Action. When I was preparing for this Impact Series workshop, I did a lot of asking questions, right? I asked James, Sarika, some of your peers as well, like, what do the students really need right now? And something that came up a lot was the culture around Watson. And it's been this way ever since I have been in Watson is I want to make an impact, but I don't know how. Does anybody here relate to those words? Yeah, and I did too at a point because like all of us are young in our social impact careers, and all of us have to come to that understanding at some point, right? I'm somebody who now I feel like I have the answer, but when I was in your shoes, I didn't. So that's what a lot of my workshop is going to be on. I'm going to be showing you all where to get started, how to get unstuck, things like that. And really, the short version of like the answer I have for you is put your boots on the ground and get started. That's really like the theme of my workshop is that. That is the like, if I could wrap up this 2-hour Impact Series workshop in one sentence, it's put your boots on the ground and get started. So, and then finally, we're gonna a little bit about what it actually means to take action and how to get started with failing forward. That's gonna be a little towards the end. So, so I went through a little bit about what we will be speaking about, but here's the agenda. You guys are gonna learn a little bit more about who I am, my story, my early life, and what kind of brought me to this social impact world that we all so graciously live in. I'm gonna talk about my journey in social impact so far. So like really starting late high school, joining Watson, and then after Watson as well. And then I'm gonna have a couple takeaways for you all to walk away with, right? Like I said, you all are gonna learn where to start, how to get unstuck, looking at the difference between numbers and impact. That's, I think, my favorite part And then finally, failing forward and learning a new way to look at growth mindset. And then of course, we're gonna have an activity, but I do have a couple of activities weaved into the workshop. So I promise I won't be talking at you for 2 hours. I promise I'm not doing that. And then of course the Q&A. And then before I move on, I do also want to say that in order for this workshop to be impactful for you all, I want you guys to kind of look at it as a learning lab, right? You guys are here to learn from me, but also I feel like I'm here to learn from you all as well. So I implore you to give your undivided attention and also give your all, because like a lot at Watson, and anytime any new student at Watson or anything asked me for one piece of advice that I would give to new Watson students, is that the Watson Institute is a program that you get out what you put in. And I feel like this workshop is going to be the same way. So we're going to actually be kind of actively practicing taking action during this workshop as well. So I just wanted to add that in there. But we're going to break the ice first in a little fun way. I don't know if you guys are on Instagram and see those posts where it's like they'll like have a statement or something and it's wrong answers only, and the comment is full of a bunch of like really random dumb stuff that has nothing to do with the post. We'll be doing a version of that. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be asking you all some very difficult trivia questions that if you know the answer to, like I would consider you a psychopath, honestly. Like nobody should know the answers to these questions. If you do, I have some questions for you. But yeah, but wrong answers only. I doubt that anybody here would get all 10 right. Maybe like some like 1 or 2, but I do want like try to blurt out some answers. I want to hear just what you have to say, and I want to laugh a little bit too. So first question, what was Google's original name?
I know the answer.
You know the answer?
I do.
This is crazy. Like, I like, and I was thinking about this too. Like, I remember I'm like at Watson Institute. Y'all are some rock stars. So, but whatever.
Oh,
What's up?
Wait, like, it's like wrong answer.
Yeah.
Alright, I was gonna say it, trivia grad.
Say that again?
Trivia grad.
Trivia grad? What you gotta say?
I mean, I just thought goggles, like.
Goggles? Anything else? Anything else? Anybody knows the right answer? What's the right answer?
Alphabet.
Alphabet? Nah, that's wrong.
Wait, that's
American.
That's American.
That's the
Oh,
parent
I think it's a
company.
new one.
Yeah, that's the parent company. The actual original name was Bachelor. That was the original name of Google. Was Bachelor. Next question. Which country was the first to use paper money? I feel like you have to probably guess this. Wakanda?
Go.
Atlantis? Anybody else? Anybody else have any guesses? Spain? That's actually pretty good. Yes, it's China. China. Makes sense, I think. But that was something I learned. What was the original name for the Beatles?
The bugs.
The Parliament.
Wow, it's the Quarrymen. Yeah, it's the Quarrymen. Good job. I love that. We have an enthusiast here for the Beatles. What common fruit is actually classified as a berry, but a strawberry isn't? And actually, that was something I learned too. I thought a strawberry was a berry, but I guess it's not. What fruit? A tomato, apple, no. Avocado, no. A banana. A banana is berry. I think it has to do with like the way it grows. I think that's why it's considered a berry. What brand made a touchscreen phone before the iPhone but failed?
Samsung. Motorola should answer. Android.
Three letters. It's IBM.
Yes.
IBM. I had a feeling, but I was looking at you. I thought that you were gonna get there. Yeah, it's IBM. It's IBM. What was bubble wrap originally invented for? Children? That's a good guess. Burglars?
Surgery.
Anybody else?
Like young kids.
Young kids? Actually, y'all, it was meant for a textured wallpaper. So
I would
people
say-
had this on their walls when it was originally invented. I can't remember the year, but it was a purpose to like decorate your household. So yeah, I don't know if any of y'all in y'all dorm rooms and all that want to put up some wrap, you know, on the walls. Yeah, but that's what they were originally going for. What's the most shoplifted food in the world? Candy?
Bread.
Bread?
I was gonna say bread.
Bread? No? Anybody else? Chips? Takis? Cheese. Cheese. I don't know if it's because like it's small enough. I don't know, but a lot of people use cheese. A lot of people love cheese, so cheese is the answer. What country has the most pyramids in the world? Egypt is what everybody says. No?
Yeah.
Mexico?
Yeah. I agree with that too. I was thinking.
Sudan.
Only
Most pyramids in the world. James, actually, he was the one. He got that one right. I was pretty surprised by that. Which famous fast food brand released a perfume that smells like their food? And this was actually really recent.
Isn't it McDonald's?
Chipotle.
Chipotle? This was recent. I think it was in like 2021 and 2022. The answer is KFC. Kentucky Fried Chicken. So, yeah. I don't know if anybody is into that, but if you are,
I think I heard about this.
there's a perfume here for you.
I swear, I was.
What is the official animal of Scotland?
Oh, I actually know the answer to this.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah, too.
So you said a peacock. Anybody else?
Is it the Scottish crown?
What's the
It's a
answer?
unicorn.
It's a unicorn. It's a unicorn. An animal that
That wasn't true.
doesn't even exist is the official animal of
No.
Scotland.
That was one of those.
Crazy. So yeah, y'all, literally speaking, like we failed and we failed drastically, right? I feel a couple people got one right or two right, and that's literally, speaking if we're in school, that's a 1 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10. So it's a 20% or a 10%, and that's an F. And F stands for fail. So we literally failed. But did we though? Because when you think about it, sure, you all blurted out some answers, got some wrong. Maybe it could have been a little embarrassing, but I think it was more funny than anything. But now though, after the fact, you guys have all this useless information. You guys know what the official animal of Scotland is now, right? You all know what the most shoplifted food in the world is, right? So if there's one thing that you all are able to take from this workshop right now, you guys just got a bunch of useless information that you all now know for conversations and, you know, things to start with. So I think I'm good. I don't think I need to finish the rest of the impact series. I think I'm good, right? I think that's it. No, I'm just playing. But I appreciate y'all for indulging in that with me. I want to get into a little bit about my story, background, my early life, and that starts with home. I was born and raised Broward County, Florida. For those of y'all who was here my senior year of college, y'all will know that my nickname here at Watson was the King of Broward. I don't know, I don't know if that name has stuck, but I liked it, and I thought, hey, I'll share it with y'all. But yeah, Broward County, Florida, specifically, I grew up in a neighborhood called Deepside Lauderhill. Lauderhill is the city, and the neighborhood is Deepside. And the reason why it was called that is because, yeah, it was one of those inner cities where, you know, a lot of stuff that happens in the inner city happens. You know, I was one of the kids in the neighborhood at risk of things, you know, like drug use and gang violence and things like that. And that's something that I grew up with. Also, speaking of home, it's important for me to mention, although I wasn't born there, I spent a lot of time there. My family is from Trinidad and Tobago. I consider that one of my homes as well. And it really is a big part of who I am today and how I grew up. And it has a lot to do with how my family raised me. When it comes to my family, I was raised with my mom and my dad and my two siblings. I have a brother and a sister. We all grew up here in South Florida. But of course, we did spend a lot of time in Trinidad as well. And I want to say the theme of my childhood was two things: struggle and practicality. When I talk about struggle, the best way to put it is, and actually that picture on your right, as you can see, like that's a building, a structure, is like got holes in the wall and stuff. I used to sleep in places like that. And that's where I used to lay my head and rest. So when you talk about struggle, you know, I try to select some photos and pictures that depict that, right? I remember there's something in the Caribbean. I don't know if it's the whole Caribbean, but I know specifically in Trinidad, we say if we have something important to do, or say if I'm preparing for this workshop, before I do so, I would eat a bread, put some butter on it, put another bread on it, and I'll eat that. It's like for luck, right? And that's like a popular saying in the Caribbean. But for me and my family, we used to eat bread and butter for lunch, dinner, and breakfast, not for luck, but it's because that's all we had in the fridge. So I remember, years and years and years, that's all we ate because that's all we had. Yeah, y'all. So that's a little bit about the struggle that I went through financially, and just as you can see in the picture, and yeah, that's me right here. That's me as a child, as an infant. That's me climbing the tree in Trinidad, picking mangoes and stuff. But yeah, y'all. So that's the first theme I want to say of my early life. The second theme, practicality. My family always preached to be practical in my life. And it actually made a lot of sense considering where I came from. And I feel like there's a good side to it and a bad side to it. For one, I'm very good with inconvenience because I was always taught to be practical. Every night, going to sleep, like I would have mosquitoes biting me all hours of the night. I had a blanket that was like this thin. I don't know if any of my islanders know about that blanket that's this thin and it feels like sandpaper on your skin, right? I know you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I used to, sleep. That was, my every night life, right? So I'm really good with inconvenience. That's the good part. And I still have that part in me till this day. I don't need a lot. I'm very low maintenance, I feel like. So that's the positive side. I feel like the bad side of it though was I was taught that the finer things in life wasn't for people like us. Like I used to hear my mom say that all the time. You want to go on a cruise? No, Aarif, that's not for people like us. You want to go here? You want to do that? That's not for people like us. So that's like, this is like word for word what she would tell me. And it's not to about my mom or anything. I love my mom, but that's and I haven't really explored that too much, but I feel like it's something deeper inside of her and my family, that we feel like we don't deserve certain things. I can safely say I'm not like that now. I actually just took my first vacation 2024 in January. That was my first time like just going somewhere just to go there. I had no reason to, I had no family there. It was just, I literally wanted to leave out for a couple days and I went, right? So yeah, y'all, thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, so talking about my early life, struggle, practicality, and I wanted to share that because there's gonna be some underlying themes in the rest of the workshop about that. So it's my early life. More about my early life. I do have a speech impediment. And also I want to say too, I bring up all the financial struggle, all the hardship and stuff, but I was still happy. You know what I mean? Like, because I was a kid, I didn't really understand what all that stuff meant. I had 2 parents, I had siblings, I had cousins who I loved in Trinidad, who every summer I could look forward to going and seeing. I was really happy, but deep inside, that kid though was still struggling with something deeper, and that struggle was I had a speech issue. Ever since I learned how to talk, I had a stutter, and I still have it right now till this day. And it's something that I've went through all throughout my life. And what I want to get across is I want you guys to kind of close your eyes and imagine this, right? Imagine you're a kid in class, you're like 5, 6, 7 years old, and like you're energetic, you're happy, you're outgoing, you want to make friends, you want to build relationships and all that stuff. And also, you're a pretty smart kid, right? The teacher asks questions in class and you raise your hand because you know the answer. Once again, you're a pretty smart kid. The teacher calls on you and it's a pretty simple question. It doesn't take many words for you to answer the question. But as you try to get the words out of your mouth, your lips quiver, your body shakes, you start to hear laughs and all that across the room. And after you finally get the answer out in class, all you feel is just a sense of, damn, I don't want to do that again. That was super embarrassing for me. I want you guys to picture that. And that's what I grew up with. Ever since I learned how to talk till I want to say like mid-high school, I struggled with that because after feeling that, I didn't raise my hand again, right? I would be in class, I would know the answers, but I was not raising my hand because I didn't want to feel that anymore. I kind of shut down. I didn't make any friends. I had a couple handful here and there. Yeah, y'all, and it was just something I got bullied for as well. I really went through a lot in my younger years going through this speech problem. I didn't feel like I had anything that was valuable enough for me to say to put me through what I would feel afterwards, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that's a little bit about my speech issue, and throughout the workshop, you all will continue to hear me stutter and, you know, pause and stuff. But yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there. But that moves me on to late high school, and I want to say late high school is really when my life started to turn. I was in a class my sophomore year of high school with a teacher named Mr. Pickney. And what was different about his class was, I feel like the culture and the aura of his class was different. Students were doing big things in his class. They were doing speeches, they were president of SGA, they had internships, some of them even had small businesses on the side that they would make money from. And what I started to learn and understand was I wanted to be like those kids. I just wanted to be somebody and feel valuable, right? So I started to put myself out there a little more. I started to come out of my shell because my desire to be one of those kids outweighed my fear of feeling what I felt every time I opened my mouth, right? So what happened was I started to open up, answer questions, teachers and counselors started to get to know me more as a human, as a person, because I finally came out and showed them who I was. And I started to gain a lot of opportunities. Some of them were, I was awarded the opportunity to be in a big brothers and big sisters. It's a out of school program that I was able to have a mentor who worked for the Florida Panthers and Sunrise. And he was like a financial analyst. His name was James. And he was somebody, it was my first experience being in a workplace, learning how to, you know, be professional in a workplace, and also opening up to someone who wasn't in my school environment and who was a complete stranger. So, you know, I was really had my first opportunity to like be well versed and be like, okay, this is an opportunity that's gonna take a lot of courage for me to get the most out of it, right? But I did that. After that, I was awarded the opportunity to be in the Sunrise Leadership Academy. That was a program, I think it was like 8 weeks long, and we did like weekly sessions. They would have guest speakers and all that. And also one of the guest speakers is actually pretty funny, was from Charles and Schwab. And like, I just remember the series of the workshop was financial literacy and learning how to, you know, open up a bank account, credit cards, all that fun stuff. And I just remember I was on fire for that workshop. I was answering all the questions, putting myself out there. And actually at the end of that, he told me right after high school, hit me up, I want to give you a job, all that fun stuff. But I haven't thought him since. I don't even know if that offer's still on the table, but say if this social impact life, it doesn't work out, you know what I mean? Y'all might catch me at Charles Schwab a couple years from now, so if it's still on the table. Super side quest as well. I was in something called Mods Makers. It was from the Museum of Science and Discovery in Miami, and super like side quest, random. Like we would do like science experiments and stuff, but I was never really a science kid. I was more of a math kid, but yeah, it was super random. But once again, it was an opportunity, and the reason why I'm sharing all these opportunities for you, not to say that they weren't valuable, but the reason behind it is just I was starting to be awarded opportunities. I was taking them and I was making the most out of them. And that's kind of been like the theme from that point on, being in Mr. Petey's class till now. Like I get an opportunity, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna make the most out of it. I want you guys to have that same mindset as well, right? Not everybody is awarded opportunities. It took me a while to be the type of person that people will want to award opportunities to. So once I started to get them, I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna do what I have to do, you know what I mean? Growing up, I played cricket I don't know if a lot of people here know what cricket is, but if you don't, it's a sport similar to baseball. It's really popular everywhere else in the world except for the United States. It's actually the second most popular sport in the world after football or soccer. Yeah, and I was really good. I was actually I was at a combine and all that to try out for the U.S. men's national team under 15. So yeah, I was pretty good. And I was actually awarded the opportunity to be the captain of my cricket team as well. So I was doing a lot of like the leadership things. It was for a team called the Caribbean International. And I was, setting the fields and I was setting the batting order. And you know what I mean? I was doing, a lot of like leadership stuff on that cricket team. I got a job. I worked at a Tommy Hilfiger at a Sawgrass Mills Mall in Sunrise. That was a job where, it's like one of those regular teen job experiences. But once again, it was an opportunity and I made the most out of it. I did my work with integrity and I promise I wasn't like one of those really corny workers, like, oh, I have to do everything, but like I still tried my best and I wanted to bring my best self to work every day. And I still do that right now. And the work I do when I was in Watson, I still did that when I was in Watson. Every single AHOT, every single Impact Series, I brought my best self because every single moment of your life, every single opportunity, how small it is or how big it is, it's a moment for you to show people who you are. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I was actually, I did such a good job at my job. I was the youngest employee of the month in the store history. So that was pretty cool. Thank you, appreciate that. And it's so weird, like y'all snapping. I used to snap at other people. And also I was promoted too as like a team lead, so I was also the youngest team lead in the store history. And I was like doing all the like visuals, right? I was doing like the mannequins, the banners and stuff, all the sales signs. That's what I was doing there. And I was like 17, 18 at the time doing all this. And then finally, I was also awarded the opportunity my senior year of high school to be in a program called Virtual Enterprises International. And that was where essentially, long story short, we had a like fake virtual company as a class. And we ran a company. We had a finance department, a HR, all that stuff. And I was the CFO of the company in class. And that top picture right there, that was us at a business pitch competition. And like, once again, I was 17, a kid with a stutter. But I gave a business pitch in front of like professional judges, super nerve-wracking experience. But once again, y'all, it was an opportunity, took it, and I did what I had to do. And I also had some internships as well. I did work over the summer after my junior year of high school as a accounting clerk for the city of Powder Hill. Before this whole social impact stuff became my life, I wanted to be an accountant. Like I was 4 or 5 year old saying I wanted to be an accountant. And the reason why, once again, my family preaching practicality, my family said, hey, Aarif, you're good at math. Why don't you be an accountant? And I was like, sounds good. And I was literally like my whole life, high school, all that stuff. I actually applied at Lynn to be a finance major because I was going to be an accountant. So yeah, y'all, so that's a little bit about late high school. And I share all those opportunities because I want y'all to get and understand that during this point of my life is when the tables started to turn. I started to gain momentum. I started to build confidence, build courage. I started to turn into the man I was going to be for the rest of my life, right? But in 2020, my whole life came crashing down in a very, very rough way. And trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about mental health struggles and also suicide as well. I have a suicide story. Trigger warning, if y'all have to leave for that, I understand and come back in. I'll probably be done in like 7 to 10 minutes. But yeah, y'all, 2020, that all started for when COVID-19 started. I don't want to make this whole thing about COVID, but that's really where like my sadness and my depression started with COVID is because like how I said in the previous slide, I started to build momentum, right? Like I was becoming the man who I wanted to always be. I was turning into one of those kids in Mr. Picnic class who I wanted to be like. But COVID came and my whole life changed. I started to have to connect with my friends on Zoom calls and FaceTime. I couldn't see them in person anymore. The bottom right, that's me at my college, at my high school graduation. I graduated on a TV screen and we had a drive-through. The top, that's me collecting my diploma in the gym of my high school because I was a class of 2020. So that really turned the tide in terms of the momentum I was building, right? That really stopped all the growth I was doing. And I can't say at that point, I was super sad. All that stuff came a little later on in the year, but that's kind of the first domino that fell for me. Then May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was murdered, and that became a big thing. The political climate in this world completely changed, and I started to feel even more sad because not only was I feeling a little sad about me not being able to finish up all my high school stuff, prom, grad bash, all that fun stuff. Now the world is on fire and I'm living in this world, and something that I always knew about myself is that my heart for the world was always big. And I guess what kind of brought me to Watson was like my heart for the world was big, but my mind for business had to sharpen if I wanted to change something, right? So my heart being so big for the world, George Floyd was something that really affected me. And I want to say with that is what started to bring my depression. And then finally, the last domino to fall was like family issues. For that whole almost a year, I want to say from the middle of June all the way to 2021 June, me and my dad were going through some really severe issues. We lived in the same house our whole life, and during that time, I really feel I can safely say that we lived in the same household. It was COVID, so ain't nobody was going anywhere, but we did not say one word to each other. Anytime that we would pass each other by, it was always a blank stare or a death stare. You know what I mean? Like, I can safely say that we did not like each other. Now we're a lot better, but that was the final piece. My family, there was so much tension in my household for a year, and it was COVID. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't go nowhere. So that led to me being diagnosed with depression. I remember randomly laying in my bed, crying. I remember my anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I remember, I just remember being super down bad, so down bad. I never thought I was the person to take photos of myself crying, but I guess I did though. And I found these in my phone when I was doing it. I guess I was that down bad where I was doing some stuff I felt like my personality I never would do. But yeah, y'all, that was the final domino to fall, and that lasted for about a year. And towards the end of that year is I started to feel suicidal thoughts. And here's where I'm going to get into a brief version of my suicide story. Once again, trigger warning. I remember one day after Lynn, this is my first year at Lynn, and I was driving home. I remember just crying, bawling my eyes out. I just didn't want to go home. So I'm driving on the 95, and I don't know if you guys know the railing on the side of 95, right? It's like the railing with the bright yellow thing at the end. So I'm driving in my car. I'm going I'm crying. I'm going 105, 110. And I just remember bro, F it, man, I'm done. I remember perfectly aligning my car with the railing, making sure it wasn't on the passenger side, it was on the driver's side. And I remember speeding, 110, 110. I'm going fast, I'm about to hit the railing. Last minute, I feel like I was this close to hitting it. I saw a picture of my mom in my mind, and I immediately swerved and I didn't do it. So I feel like I was this close taking my life on that day, and I was this close to not being here right now. And that was my wake-up call. That was when I made up my mind that something had to change, because I couldn't do that to the people who raised me, to the people who I love. So yeah, y'all, that's the mental health challenges of 2020 and 2021. That's gonna share the rest of my story for how I got to where I am now. I like to say that self-care and social impact saved my life. Luckily, as y'all saw on those Zoom calls, I was still able to keep in contact with a lot of my friends. Three of my friends, Sean, Jordan, and Chris, we decided that we wanted to start a business back in early 2020. I remember we invested in a real estate course, and that thing was a scam. I remember like it was like classes I had to download, and like sometimes the classes like would end mid-sentence. The guy would be mid-sentence and the video was done. That was a couple hundred down the drain. But we decided like we wanted to do something, right? And then May 25th happened, George Floyd, and we just saw like our world on fire, and we saw the impact that that had on our fellow Black men and Black women right here in this country. So we got to thinking, and we decided that we wanted to do something positive with our company, right? And this was actually even before Watson was even in the picture. Once again, I always knew that my heart for the world was big. And I guess that's kind of how everything aligned, you know, being in Watson, all that stuff, like that's kind of where it started. So we got to thinking, and we landed on a company, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more on that, but it was called TAMKIN, and we sold self-care products for Black men. So hair care, skin care, all that fun stuff. And the idea was to make self-care more accessible to Black men, right? Why this saved my life is because after that incident on the road, I finally feel like I found purpose again. I found something that I could attach myself to again, and I could bring value to something, you know what I mean? Because during that time, I didn't feel like I had any value. So much so I was ready to end it all, right? Also, I was able to start something of meaning that I could apply myself to. Right now, I work at the EJS Project, and I'll share more on that later. But I like to say that I don't have a job, I have work. I have something I can apply myself to, and I feel really blessed because right now I'm 22 years old and I have something that I can work at and apply myself to and see the results of it, right? I don't have a job, I have work. So this was an example of that. I had work. I had something I could build from the ground up and do something meaningful that I was passionate about. And then finally, apart from the social impact, I was also able to learn how to truly take care of myself because we were starting a self-care brand. You know, I had to practice what I preach, you know. So I had to learn how to truly, what is self-care? And something that I feel like really shifted my mindset, and I want to share this with you because I think that you all can practice this like right after you leave here, was I started to do like my hobbies and my daily activities with a lot more intention, right? So for example, if I'm in the shower and I'm shampooing my hair, right? That's something we all do a couple days a week or so. There's two ways that you can do it. You can shampoo your hair and just to clean it, right? So you clean it, it's something you have to do, boom, and you're done. The second way, and how I started to shampoo my hair and do other things in my life was, okay, I'm about to hop in the shower, I'm gonna shampoo my hair, I'm gonna smell good, it's gonna feel good, I'm gonna put my hair through it and all that stuff, and I'm gonna feel so much better after my shower. Those are two very different experiences. You're doing the same thing, but the result is different. And that's something I took in, and once again, I feel like that saved my life. I was doing everything like that. If I was in a boxing class, right, I could do it two ways. I could be, you know, all right, I'm gonna fight like Floyd, or you know what, man, I had a tough week, I'm stressed, I'm about to go let out some of that stress in a positive way and do something about it, right? Two very different experiences, but you're doing the same thing. That's what saved my life. Then that brings me to college. That brings me to college, right? And I'm pretty sure y'all know, yeah, at the top, y'all know Isaiah and Short. But through college, I had to, all that momentum and stuff that I was building in my later years of high school, I had to rebuild it again in college. And from starting my own social impact venture to learning about Watson and being in Watson, I was able to do so, right? For one, I was able to build up my confidence again because, as you all know, Lynn, especially in the dialogue classes, they force you to present, like at the end of every class, right? Like there's no essays, not really. Most of your finals are hopping in front of class and speaking. So, and me, I wanted to keep my grades up. I wasn't about to not do it. So Lynn forced me to present, get comfortable with speaking again and doing all that stuff again and starting once again to build up the momentum I completely lost back in 2020. And then also I was able to build a lot of my confidence back in this room with my Watson peers. I can safely say that I've never had such a close-knit family like group of people like the Watson Institute, apart from my own family. They were the ones like every time, I would post on Instagram, I'm doing this with my company, or I'm doing this for my family or something. They were always my biggest cheerleaders, right? And that's something I really hope that you all in this room take intention with, right? Nurture this Watson community, because I was able to go from this to this, and a lot of that is because of the Watson Institute. A lot of that was because of the friends and the connections I made here. Nobody else, as far as school-wise, I feel like nobody else is gonna have your back and cheer you on more than your Watson peers, and that's just the fact of the matter. That's my truth, and I really hope it's y'all truth as well. Also, during college, I was finding my path as a social impact leader. I opened up by saying that this is a really full circle moment for me because a year and a half after being in y'all shoes, I'm able to be up here and speak to y'all, right? And that's really cool. And the bottom right, that's me a year and a half after I left high school, being able to go to high school, to my old high school and speak to the students over there as well. So it's pretty cool how it's kind of like, like a year and a half. Yeah, y'all, my life and my intentionality during college, helping me find my path as a social impact leader brought me to all of these opportunities and stuff that I was able to have during college. And also too, during college, I felt like I was building on my actual skills, right? I was actively working on my craft, being in the social impact space. So I started to feel valuable again. I started to feel that through TAMKIN, my company, through Watson, through EJS, I had something that people needed. You know what I mean? And I felt valuable again. And then finally, in college, y'all, I was just happy. And that's, I think, like the borderline, like I was just happy again. I was smiling. These are genuine smiles again. For a long time, I didn't feel like I had that smile, but I was happy again, y'all. And that brings me to now. This is where I am now. Going back to the practicality that my family taught me. Now I'm going on trips, right? I shared that I went on my first actual real vacation last year, and actually with my girlfriend right there, that she is in the top right. Isn't she lovely? Yeah. Yeah. Where's the angel? The angel not get that on camera? Dang, that's crazy. But yeah, y'all, I decided that the finer things in life was meant for me. And that's where I'm at now. If I want to go on a trip, I deserve it. That is meant for somebody like me, right? And I want to share a story. Just like 3 weeks ago, I was asking my mom about massages, right? And I asked her if she wanted to get one with me. And it looked like literally, once again, she told me, no, Aarif, that's not for people like us. You know what I mean? Like getting a massage. So what I did was that following weekend, I said, Mom, 2:00, hop in the van, we're sliding and we're going for a massage. And we did. And she felt really happy about it, really good about that. When I was in y'all shoes here at Lynn, I remember being asked about the study abroad program. Somebody was willing to offer me a scholarship to, I think it was to go to England or something for a couple weeks. And I remember hearing that opportunity and hearing my mom say in my head, no, Aarif, that's not for people like us. And I literally like shut the idea down so fast, didn't even think about it because that was so engraved in my brain, right? I can safely say that now, considering all the things that I do, all the trips I've been to, like that would not be the case. And I feel like I'll forever regret not saying yes, because yeah, I could have went to England, I could have studied abroad and had that experience, but I was too close-minded, and a lot of that had to do with how I was raised, right? Being practical. And also, once again, y'all, I'm happy now. I'm happy. That was me in Key West, New Orleans. You know, I'm doing speaking and all that stuff at EJS. Yeah, y'all, I'm happy. I'm happy. And finally, now I'm also on my social impact journey, and that social impact journey starts with TAMKIN. TAMKIN, it was a company that we founded, me and 3 of my friends from high school back in 2021. We started to plan and all that stuff for it back in 2020. It took us a while to get it started because, and I'll talk more about this later, but we were waiting for the perfect time, which there's never a perfect time to start. But we launched in 2021, and like I said, our mission, it was to provide safe, natural self-care products for Black men and make self-care a lot more accessible for Black men. A lot of the work I did here at Watson was trying to figure out and understand the correlation and the connection between Black men's mental health and self-care. And I was able to do so. That's what my thesis was on. And I was able to build a successful venture through that. And this is how we got started, right? 4 young Black men in South Florida wanting to do something positive in our community and also wanting to just build something with each other. And like I said, this company like really got me personally through a lot. It saved my life. I learned how to take care of myself, and I finally found the passion and the value I had for social impact. The business launched in 2021, and we closed in late 2023. So literally, this company failed, right? Like literally speaking, like how on the ice breaker, like we failed with all those questions, right? This company failed. When we look at a spreadsheet and we see all of the companies launched in 2021 that failed, this company is going to be on that spreadsheet. But did it really though? Come on, fam. Not now, bro. Come on, there you go. Appreciate you, Javi. Our impact. We were able to impact 163 Black men, and we helped them improve their self-care routines by selling them our natural, safe self-care products. We did student self-care workshops where we went to high schools and after-school programs and all that stuff, and we impacted 518 students, teaching them what is self-care, how does it relate to your mental well-being, and why is it so important. We hosted TAMKIN toy drives. Shout out to Ricky Aiken from Inner City Innovators. He was the one who helped me start this initiative, and for 2 toy drives, we were able to give 294 toys during the holiday season for youth in need, right? And then finally, we had our TAMKIN Talks. These were live Instagram sessions where we connected with Black figures in the community, and we talked about self-care. What is it for you? Why is it so important? And what do you do to self-care? So did it really fail? Because I don't know anybody who looks at these numbers and this image and says, that's a failure. No, it's not. Because if us 4 didn't say, you know what, the world is on fire, we want to start a business, let's do something about it, this doesn't happen. Those 163 Black men do not improve their self-care. Angel, he was one of them. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Those 518 students, they do not have an opportunity to attend that workshop. And maybe not all of them, use what we shared, right? But at the end of the day, we were able to give 518 students an opportunity to learn about self-care and improve their mental well-being. None of this happens if we don't get our asses up, put our feet on the ground, and get started, get to work, right? We had no resources, we had no funding, we had no adult supervision, you know what I mean? Like we didn't have any of that. We just said, you know what, we want to do something, let's do something, let's take action. And yeah, y'all, so that was our impact. And more so of why I don't see it as a failure is because now I'm an asset. I'm able to bring all of the knowledge and all the failures and all that stuff I did with TAMKIN anywhere else I go, because in running the company, I was doing the finances, the human resources, the marketing, the product development, the partnerships. I was doing everything. Anything that you could think of to run a company successfully, I was doing. So now, being a leader in the social impact space, I'm able to bring that anywhere I go. And where I decided to bring it next was the EJS Project, where I'm now the senior program manager here at EJS. I started off as a program intern back in 2022, once again through Watson, because in order to graduate Watson, I needed 3 internships, and I ended up doing all 3 of my internships with EJS, because how it happened, my internship, it was supposed to be 3 months long, and I had a couple projects and things I was supposed to do, and that was it. But the relationship, the internship was so mutually beneficial. I learned so much, and EJS needed help. I'm now there for a little over 3 years now. So what was supposed to be 3 months is now 3 years. So yeah, y'all, so that's where I am now. And after EJS too, I'm able to take all the things that I learned from TAMKIN, from EJS, to where I go next. And I promise you, I did a lot of failures at EJS as well. There's so many things that, yeah, I didn't do well on. But this is something that I wish all of you will have in the social impact space, but I have a leader. His name is Dupree. He's my boss. He's the founder and executive director of EJS. And he is somebody who has seen something in me that I did not see in myself, even coming in the middle of my Watson journey, right? And he put me in the fire. He allowed me to lead so many things. And in leading so many things, I fail a lot. But the whole theme, the whole purpose of me being here is to help y'all understand that, yeah, I failed a lot, but they're not really failures though. It's a part of growth. It's a part of me being here right now, being able to offer something of value to you guys right now. You know what I mean? So a little bit about who we are. Our mission is to provide a safe space for teenagers after school right here in Palm Beach County. And we do that by offering free educational programming that relates to mentoring, workforce readiness, tutoring, free mental health services, and so much more. But really what makes us who we are a safe space for teens after school. So we have a space where students are able to come and be free to express who they are, and have positive mentors around them as well to help guide them in the right way, right? So that's who we are. We serve high risk, high potential youth here in Palm Beach County. So yeah, I think now is a good time for a break.
Yeah.
All right, bet. So, oh yeah, that's my story, y'all. So when we come back from the break, we're gonna get into a little bit more about what you guys can walk away with. So, yeah. I'm good to go.
Yeah, very well.
All right, y'all. Welcome back from break. I got a couple more things I want to I have a lot more things I want to get through. So we're gonna run straight through, but now is sort of the time where I want to talk a little bit about what are some actionable steps that you can take, for one, during this workshop, but afterwards as well, to help you guys with that underlying question. I want to make an impact, but I don't know how. How do I do that? So first things first, where to start? And of course, we have to start with understanding your what. This isn't something I want to spend too much time on because I feel like Watson does a really good job at allowing y'all to think about what are you feeling passionate about, right? What moves you? What keeps you up at night? What gets you angry? And then also, what can you spend the rest of your life working on, right? So I feel like Watson does a good job with that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But what I do want to spend some time on is understand your why. And your why isn't essentially why you do it, but why do you have to be the one to do it? You know what I mean? Like, why are you the one who, say, if you're passionate about the trash on the beach, right? Why do you have to be the one to be the person to work on that? And if you are not the one, nothing is going to change in that social issue, right? That's what I want you guys to think of, because that isn't a question I wasn't asked during the tenure of my Watson time, right? But I feel like it's an important question that we all have to understand, because I feel like that's how you get through imposter syndrome. One of the hardest parts in doing this workshop for me was that whole first half talking about my early life stuff, because I hate to talk about myself. Like, I'm pretty humble. I don't like to, do too much. But in order for me to get the point across, and I understand I'm here in this space as an example, right? As somebody who was in your shoes, but who's now in the social impact space, being successful. You know what I mean? So I understand that comes with the territory of doing this workshop. But I also share that all those stories with you, because all that stuff I shared is why I have to be the one to do the work that I want to do, right? The reason why I had to be the one to start up TAMKIN and make self-care products more accessible to Black men is because of what I knew I went through with my mental health. And I know what self-care had a part to play in when saving my life. So that's why I had to be the one to start TAMKIN and work towards that issue. I have to be the one at the EJS Project creating and amplifying meaningful programs for our youth here in Palm Beach County, because I had so many people in my corner to help me get through what I had to get through and help me get to where I am right now, right? That's why I have to be the one, because I want to be that same person in the corner of the students who I serve. That's why me. That's why I have to be the one to be at EJS. And also having that mindset that if not you, then who, right? If I'm not at EJS doing all the stuff I do with the teams, who will? You know what I mean? So that's an activity. I don't know if you guys have paper or anything, but I have some over here. If you guys need, or if you just want to do some notes on your phone or anything, whatever works for you. But I want you guys to take a couple minutes to answer this question. Write this down. What social issue fits these categories for you? And then explain why you. Why do you have to be the one doing the work with that social issue? So take a couple minutes.
Who needs paper?
We're gonna take like 2 minutes. I know it says 3, we're gonna take like 2.
Anyone else? There's more paper. Yeah. Wait, that.
We're gonna take like another minute and a half or so.
You got it? Got it. You got it? Yeah.
Say that 30 more seconds. All right, real quick, I do wanna, I wanna hear from a couple. Who wants to share why you? Go ahead.
I mean, my challenge is the lack of social emotional learning in youth. And why me? Because I came from a household where the only thing that kept me alive and kept me going was my ability to regulate my emotions in whatever best ways I could at the time. And right now, I believe that I'm working towards being my best self.
Mm.
And it becomes my responsibility to bring that to others, children who are in the position that I was when I was that age.
Hmm,
So if not me, then who?
not you then who? Love that, love that. Anybody else? Go ahead.
So what I'm passionate about is injustices regarding the Black communities, so like misrepresentation, stereotypes, international relations, conflicts and stuff like that. And my why is because I'm angry about it. I mean, it's been something that's been around for so long and we've been working on it, but why are we taking 10 steps backwards instead of forward at this time period, especially? So again, why I feel like I have not been represented correctly, you know, the stereotypes kind of tend to take over and put like that Black cast on what change is supposed to look like. So if I'm so upset about it every single day, then shoot, it's my time to get up there. Let me on the stage, let me grab the mic. It's my
There you
turn.
go, there you go. I love that. I love that, right? I love that, because once again, if not you, then who's doing it? Because it's been years,
Mhm.
it's been centuries. Nothing, we're probably even a little backwards right now than we probably have been in the past, right? So if not you, then who? One more. I want to hear one more if anybody. Go ahead.
So, sorry, I'm doing the transition between college for neurodiverse individuals transition to college and the job work. In my mind that I have a disability, and I kind of found that throughout my life I could use what people said that I couldn't do and prove them wrong, and I even and I know what I can do before anyone else says it, and that, and I, from having this disability, I understand that it's, it's tough when you're out of college looking for a job, especially for anyone, for particularly for people like me, and then it also causes anxiety and some mental health issues, and I really want to work to combat that. So it's like, so why me? It's like who else but me? I understand it. I understand the struggle, and I want to help alleviate the struggle and make it better, because I love this world, and I see a lot of not only my mission, but I see a lot of things that need to change, and I love people and I love helping people.
Hey, oh my God, hey man, I want to talk to you a lot more. I ain't gonna lie. That was inspirational, and man, I love that, because that's something I've been thinking a lot about recently too, like proving others wrong, right? Nobody knows more of what you're made of than you. You know what I mean? I don't know if your peers or the people who you grew up with or whatever thought that you would be right here in this spot in a premier social impact program here in South Florida and leaving an impact like you just have on me. You know what I mean? And that's powerful. That's powerful, man. So I appreciate you for sharing that. Getting unstuck. So before I move on, this is where it starts, y'all. This is where it starts. You guys have already thought about what means a lot to you and what's your mission, what's your social impact that you know someday you want to have an impact on, right? But now I hope you have a lot more of an understanding of why you have to be the person to work in that social impact mission, right? So that's where we start. That's where we start. Because that'll drive us into getting unstuck. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in this room, I know that I was, once I fully understood, okay, how do my past, issues, trauma, whatever, correlate into what I want to do in the future and what I want to have an impact on. Now I have that piece. What's next? Because I'm stuck. So here are some things that, some of the barriers that cause you to get stuck. Fear, of course, fear of failure. I want to say that is the number one fear in the world, I think, is the fear of failure. Uncertainty, not being certain if what you're doing is the right way to go about it. Perfectionism, waiting for the right time to start. Oh, it's not ready yet. My logo isn't perfect yet. You know what I mean? Like trying to be perfect. And trying to be perfect, that stops you from taking action. And you will remain stuck if you continue to wait for the right time. Because once again, like how I had to learn the hard way, because I spent like 9 months planning TAMKIN with my friends. I lost out on 9 months of impact I could have been having. I lost out on 9 months of money I could have been making, right? Because I was waiting for the right time. Get up and start. And then of course, imposter syndrome. That was the biggest thing for me that I had to struggle with. Because yeah, like similar and can you share your name, sir, real quick? Say that again.
Aiden,
One more time.
Aiden,
Aiden?
yeah,
Pleasure to meet you, Aiden. What Aiden was saying, I had to understand that nobody knows what I'm made of more than me. You know what I mean? And I had to answer that question for myself. Why do I have to be the one to do the work that I want to do? So imposter syndrome was the barrier for me. For some of y'all, it could be all of these, 1, 2, whatever it is, but here are some of the barriers that causes us to get stuck. How do we get unstuck? What I want to correlate and what I hope is some of the actionable items that you all will take is go out there and experiment. We're in Palm Beach County. I like to say that Palm Beach County is the capital of the United States of America for social impact. It just is. A couple of reasons why. Me and Sarka just yesterday went up into the UC 3rd floor, and there were 2 people having a meeting. Sarka knew one person, I knew the other person, and it was just one big social impact family that we just made in the UC in the 3rd floor. Palm Beach County, like that is what Palm Beach County is built for. There's so much money here, so much wealth here. And there's so many people who are out here with social impact organizations and who want to make a change. Palm Beach County, this is the place for it. And I promise you, I work at a nonprofit in the social impact space. We need y'all. My favorite thing about Watson is Watson prepares students to be work ready right after the program. So many of my peers are in, New York, Boston, Florida, other places in the world, and they are working right after Watson. They're in the social impact space and they have value to add to other organizations or their own venture, whatever it is. And what got them there is through experimenting. They were volunteering. They were doing one-time initiatives. If your mission is you want to clean up all the trash off the beach and you do all of this thinking and planning on, a super complex business plan and you do interviews and all that stuff is cool and fine. But you could have just grabbed a group of friends, go on the beach, get a picker and a bucket and clean up the beach. You know what I mean? Like that's getting up and taking action. If you do that one time every 2 weeks for the whole year, you can leave that year cleaning up thousands of pounds of trash from the beach just by getting up and doing it, right? And also working in the social impact space. Once again, Palm Beach County, there are so many opportunities here in the social impact space. No matter what your mission is, I promise you, you can find an organization here in Palm Beach County. If your mission is LGBTQIA plus rights. Off the top of my head, I know like 3 of them right here in Palm Beach County that does work with that population. Reach out, see if they have an internship or any volunteer opportunities. Learn the industry, learn how other people do work in the space that you want to be in. Palm Beach County, I promise you, it's the place for that. And we need y'all. I work in social impact space. We need help. We need hands because us in the social impact space, and you all will learn this a lot more when you actually go into it. We do the most with the least. So we need y'all help. And then finally, we need to break impact down in smaller steps. Too many times I sat in these rooms, I sat in these impact series, I sat at AHOD watching the older cohorts, and I would get psyched out. I'm like, dang, how could I ever reach that? You know what I mean? Like the perfect example was James, man. Like James was somebody I just looked up to so much. Like he was a senior when I was a freshman, and he just moved mountains with his words. You know what I mean? I just like, damn, I know I'll never be able to reach that. And like literally the year after I graduated, I remember we had scheduled a lunch, and it was like one of the best meetings I've ever had, because I realized like me and James are having lunch and we're going back and forth on social impact and partnerships. And like when I was in the program, I saw him like this and I was here, but in that lunch, we were here. You know what I mean? So that's why we need to break impact down in smaller steps, because I know a lot of y'all probably look at others here and y'all here, but in reality, we're all here. I promise you, we're all here. And where we get into a tangible way that you can break it down into smaller steps is looking at numbers versus impact. So these are numbers here. Once again, I showed this slide previous. These are numbers, right? Super impactful. Share the story. You get to understand what we did. Here's some more numbers from EJS. The best way for us to track the quality of programs we have at EJS is to say, okay, how much time are the teens spending at EJS? Because at the end of the day, we've all been teens, not too long ago, actually. Some of y'all are probably teens right now. And y'all know teens have a lot more freedom over where your time goes. So the way that we track the quality of what we do is, our teens spending time here at EJS? Do they want to be here? So that's the basis around the numbers here. As you can see, we've had a steady increase of students wanting to be at EJS more. And this past year, we had an 81% increase in the amount of time that teens spent in our programs, right? These are numbers though, y'all. And I don't know how many of y'all, because with this slide right here, I was doing all this during Watson. Like I was here on Fridays, I was in AHOD on Wednesdays. So all this stuff happened while I was here at Watson. And I'm pretty sure I say that. And how many of y'all are feeling pretty like psyched out right now? Like, damn, how did he do it? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I promise you, I felt the same way. And I understand why. Hopefully with what I'm gonna share now, hopefully that could help you not feel so psyched out. Because I want you guys to look at impact like this. Listen to what I'm about to say. And this is true impact. Malik Evans, he's an 11th grader at Atlantic Community High School. He's one of the teens who I serve at EJS. I met him when I first started. He was in 8th grade. He had a 1.5 GPA. He had severe anger issues, bad attitude. Miss Adrian, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Really bad attitude. He didn't care about school. He was just doing his own thing. He had like I want to say like it's like panic attacks, but anger attacks. Like he would just get angry and lash out. You know what I mean? That was the kid that he was. Now Malik Evans is in 11th grade at Atlantic. The highest GPA he had a couple quarters ago was a 3.5. He acknowledged that he had an issue with anger, and he decided, you know what, Aarif, I know that you all offer therapy at EJS. I think I want to try that. I want to work on my anger issues. And he did. He did like I think 8 therapy sessions with the therapist we worked with at EJS, and now he's a completely different kid. Like when I first met him, anytime he would come to EJS, I'd be like, damn, here we go. It's gonna be a long day, you know what I mean? But now, man, he's a pleasure to be around. This is a picture of Malik at our fundraising gala this past November, giving the keynote speech from the perspective of an EJS student. He shared his insights on what EJS means to him, what EJS has helped him with. You know, so Malik is a student that did a complete turnaround, and he has good grades now, great attitude. He has opportunities. He's about to transfer into a private school now. Like, he's doing great. And he is continuing to do so. That's impact, y'all. I didn't share any numbers. I didn't do any elaborate business plan or complex planning interviews. I didn't do none of that. Look at him now. For the life of me, I cannot remember this dude's name. I just remember his jacket was super clean that day. That's all I remember. But back in 2021, TAMKIN took a trip to FAMU for their homecoming, and they had homecoming. That was a blast. It was a blast. But they have something called Market Mondays, where we were able to set up a table and sell our box. We ended up making like I think 2,000 on that one day. Pretty crazy. This was one of our customers who purchased a box on that day, and he sent me this text. Like I want to say like 3 weeks after he bought it, but he said it was getting a TAMKIN box made him think intentionally about taking care of himself for 30 minutes every single day. Just by having a TAMKIN box, having his products around, being like, okay, 30 minutes, let me go ahead and do what I have to do to take care of myself. And he said that improved his mental health. You know what I mean? So once again, y'all, that's impact. I didn't share any numbers with you. That's impact. Tremaine Evans, another one of my students at EJS. Tremaine is a special story, man. And I put his whole family here because like me and the family, we have a really close relationship. And I feel like not only have I had an impact on Trey, but I've also had an impact on his family. Tremaine walked into the EJS doors, I want to say back in 2022, midway, around like 4 months of me working there as an intern. And I remember in the intake, Tremaine, he has some really severe health issues, right? I don't want to get specific, but like he has like really severe learning disabilities. And his mom during we have what we call an intake meeting where we meet the student and the family, and we hear a little bit more about who they are, what their story is, what brings them in to EJS, and they hear from us who we are, what we do, and what services we have to offer, right? So in the intake meeting, I remember mom saying, yeah, you know, I just don't really think that Trey is gonna graduate high school. I really don't. Because he walked into EJS with I think a 0.7 GPA. And yeah, like he wasn't on track to graduate. Fast forward, I want to say a month ago, we purchased his cap and gown for him because he's about to walk that damn stage. You know what I mean? He's about to graduate. Like his mom himself, Trey too. He didn't think he was gonna graduate or walk that stage, but fast forward now, he's about to hop on that stage and graduate. He went all the way up to a 2.0 from a 0.7. That's the impact, y'all. I had an impact on this kid and their family. I started a community cleanup initiative with my students from the Crown, and we called it the Crown Cleaning Project. Once again, like throughout the workshop, I've used like the beach cleanup as an example because it's a really simple thing to do. But yeah, y'all, like that's impact. We just had our last beach cleanup on Monday, so that's something that we do. I don't have an exact number, but we've probably picked up like thousands of pounds of trash from the beach after starting this a year and a half ago with my students. That's impact. And then finally, not too long ago, at the Child Rescue Coalition, I helped to build care packages for children who have been affected by sexual abuse, human trafficking, all that stuff. That was the impact that I was able to have. And guess what? The gag is a lot of y'all in this room are in that picture. Y'all had an impact, y'all. Y'all had an impact. And that doesn't happen if y'all don't get up, get your feet on the ground, and get to work, right? So I understand that all this stuff is cool and fun, and all this stuff is important, right? For funders and all that stuff. All these things are important, but in the space that you all are in right now, I do not want you guys to psych yourself out too much about this. Look at impact like these stories, y'all, because this is a lot more attainable, right? Like I feel like we all have these smaller wins, but we don't think about it because we're trying to reach this. We're trying to reach that, but we don't think about this. I know that all of you have a story right now that are like each and every single one of these stories. And with that said, we're gonna take some time on your notes, paper, take a couple of minutes, write down one success story you've had in your very young social impact career. Take a couple of minutes. Once again, I know it says 3 minutes. I'm gonna call it 1.5 minutes. I gotta get this thing rolling. About 45 more seconds. 43.7 seconds. All right, 10 more seconds. Nah, forget that. We done. All right, bet. All right. Let me hear from a couple people. Share your story. Go ahead.
So my mission is to provide the Indian students with like resources and also education system of the EJS. And I had a friend back home who was a coworker of mine, and she's in the university back home, and she wants to go into like interior design, stuff like that. And she reached out to me. She's like, I'm looking for an internship. I really want to start working, but I don't know where. And so I reached out to my dad, who works in architecture and design and stuff like that. And he basically connected her with one of his coworkers, and like within a week she had an internship ready to go. And so she started her career.
Oh, you done started a career. Look at that. Look at that. Put out emotion. Anybody else? Go ahead, bro.
So I'm Aarif as well. Thank you for your
I remember
story.
you
really
yesterday.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I was just basically my social impact. I feel like I'm doing 3 presentations. I'm very into public speaking and sharing the word about mental health, bringing awareness towards it. And this summer, I'm actually doing 3 presentations. So I think the impact that will have on a lot of people, will be really big. And so,
100%, man. Yeah. Using your voice, spreading the word. That's impact. One more?
So this was actually kind of hard for me. I'm the type of person that's done a lot, but every time like I get this question, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I've had one.
Yeah.
But just thinking, I have this friend, but she's like my kid. Like I've raised her, but like not really. But in high school, I was very involved, and she would notice that. And so when she would ask me questions, like when it came time for college, she would ask me a lot of questions about what I'm doing, because she saw like I got like a scholarship to come here. She was like, okay, how do you do that? And I kind of just mentored her, and told her everything I did, gave her all of my resources. I was asking different people questions. And now she's going to college next year with a full ride, nothing paid for. And I'm
Boom.
so proud of her.
Look at that, funding a college education, you gotta take no pocket out, you gotta take no money out your pocket. That's impact, y'all. That's impact. Every single one of y'all, I know y'all got one story. Are y'all here? One more.
Okay, so, yeah, so one of the most important things I did in my mission was not like anything physical, but just mapping out a roadmap for me to follow, like, say for 4 years, because every moment builds on each other and every moment is important, and it is important that it doesn't solely rely on numbers to get things done. It also relies on heart and emotions and wanting to make a greater impact, and that's what it's all about, and that's what I've learned in this journey. So it's not merely like what I have done, it's merely what I have realized, and that is like going to carry me to greater endeavors.
100%. That's impact. That's impact. So if there's one thing that y'all can take away, I hope like this is like the main thing I wanted y'all to pick away is break down impact into smaller steps. No matter how small, no matter how big, all this stuff, the social impact game is all about momentum, right? You get one funder, 3 gonna follow. You get one client, 5 gonna follow. It's momentum. So that's why it's so important to, once again, get up, get your boots on the ground and get started. Because the sooner you start, the sooner that you'll build that momentum. We're gonna talk about failing, fear of failure, and shifting the mindset for you guys to have a healthier relationship with failure. How many of y'all feel like y'all have like a really deep fear of failure? How many of y'all feel that way? Yeah, almost everybody. Yep, and that was my biggest fear too. I want to share with y'all my story briefly about why I feel my relationship with fear is so healthy. And a lot of it came from like playing sports, but more so now just being a speaker, right? I don't think that 5-year-old me, 6-year-old me, 8-year-old me, 10-year-old me, 15-year-old me would have thought that I'd be doing speaking. Well, for one, speaking in front of y'all here today, but considering me as a public speaker, because that's who I am. I'm a public speaker. I've spoken in front of groups of 500, 400 people. That's what I do. I've spoken at conferences and stuff. Like, that's who I am. And all that had to do with shifting my mindset from having a fear of failure is not the relationship I want to have. And I want to tell you where that shift came from. My healthy relationship with fear comes from my desire to be the best at what I do. So to put this in perspective, my desire to be the best in anything. So for example, when I worked at Tommy Hilfiger, I wanted to be the best employee that I could be, no matter how important the job was. I mean, bro, I was just folding clothes and, doing the cash register. Doesn't seem like too much of like an important job, right? But that doesn't matter to me. I still wanted to be the best person in that Tommy Hilfiger store to be an associate there, right? To work there. If I was a janitor, I want the cleanest floors on the block. That's just the type of person I am. And that desire to want to be the best outweighed my fear of failure. I wanted that more than how scared I was of failure, if that makes sense, right? So that's where my relationship with fear shifted and is a lot more healthy now. Because if I'm scared, I won't get the job done. That goes back to, if not you, then who? If not you, then who? If I'm scared, then I can't be the one to do the work that I want to do in the mission area that I have chosen, right? So I'm going to share a diagram on how we can take some actionable steps to shift that mindset for failure. And then also, this is what gets you respect in this space as a young social impact leader. This is something that I struggled with when I first started in the social impact space. But people saw that I wanted to be the best at what I do. I wanted to be the best employee at EJS. I wanted to have the best social impact venture here in Palm Beach County. You know, I wanted to be the voice for mental health for Black men here in South Florida. And people saw that. So when people see that, and it's something that shows, right? If you want to be the best, that shows because you have integrity in the work that you do. People are gonna respect you because I promise you, when you guys enter the social impact space, you guys will struggle with that respect because it's just human nature, right? Oh, you know, it's a kid, they're learning all that fun stuff. Nah, I know what I'm talking about. I know who I am. I know the value that I could bring to this organization or this project or just this conversation. No, I have something meaningful to share. So yeah, y'all. So that's why it's so important to shift that mindset of failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. Complacency is. Say that one more time. Failure is not the opposite of success. Complacency is, because failure is a needed step to success. You need to fail in order for you to succeed. And you guys are going to see that in the growth mindset diagram. And I want to ask you all a question. If you're 3 failures away from success, how fast are you going to fail? You're going to fail like today, right? Because you want to be successful ASAP. If you're 3 failures away from success, how fast are you going to fail? Think about that. Now we're going to get into the growth mindset diagram. I'm running short on time. I have an activity and I want some time for questions. I'm going to see how I'm going to do it. But this is the growth mindset diagram. You start off in the comfort zone. I'm safe, but I'm stuck, you know. I know I want to make an impact, but I don't know how, and I'm not going to try anything yet. I hope just one day magically it comes to me. Fear zone. Okay, I feel like I'm getting ready to move forward. I'm thinking about some things, but I'm scared though, and I won't move forward until I get over that fear of failure. Failure zone. I'm trying things, I'm failing, I'm messing up, but I'm learning, I'm getting better. Once again, you guys are gonna leave this workshop today knowing what the official animal of Scotland is. It's the unicorn, right? Exactly. And then finally, the growth zone. I'm stronger because I failed, but I continue to go. I didn't allow that failure to stop me. I saw that failure as a necessary step to where I am right now. And the main thing I want y'all to understand is, once again, failure is not the opposite of success. Complacency is, because if you can see, failure is the step right before growth. It's not all the way over there. It's not where you start. Nah, failure is part of the process and it's a necessary step to getting to where you want to be. So here, we're gonna go into it a little deeper. Probably not though. I hope that y'all got what I had to say in the other slide. So yeah, but this is just going into everything a little more in depth, the growth zone, the fear zone, the failure zone, and the growth zone. And I have all of them on the slide afterwards, and you'll be able to read more into it. But we're gonna get into our activity. I have zones. Well, I don't have zones. I have the zones on this paper. You're gonna take the zones and make your own zones, all right? You are gonna move into the zone in the room that best fits you. So you have the growth zone, failure zone, fear zone, and the comfort zone, right? You're gonna have the prompts on the large piece of paper on the wall. And you'll be like with your team of other people who have chosen that zone. What you're gonna do is you're gonna talk about it a little bit, and I'm gonna give you some post-its as well. You guys are gonna write down some of the main points and stick them on each of the questions, all right? And then finally, you will pick somebody to share with the team. So we're gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. This is everything, so you can look at this while you're in the activity here. I'll take that. And then for people who are in the comfort zone, if one person can come up and take this and stick it somewhere on the wall so y'all can get started. Does anybody feel like they're in the comfort zone right now? Anybody? All right, bet. So everybody else who's in the comfort zone is gonna follow. What's your name? Chelsea. Chelsea. She's gonna have a group and the comfort zone. And there are your Post-its. Is anybody in the failure zone? Anybody in the failure zone? All right, so we got Amaya. You're gonna take this, follow Amaya to the failure zone. I don't think I'm gonna need more than one. Is anybody in the fear zone? Fear zone? Fear zone. Y'all gonna follow Alicia into the fear zone. And then finally, do we have anybody in the growth zone? Anybody in the growth zone? All right, bet. You're going to follow Aarif into the growth zone. Get in your teams. The prompts are on the paper. Talk about it a little bit. Try to be quick with it. I love if we could get through this in like 7 minutes. So I have some time for questions. So yeah, get in your teams and let's do it, y'all. You want to do it like right here or something? Or? Everybody understands, right? No questions or none? I feel like I did a pretty good job explaining it. All right. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. At 11:50, we're gonna share, y'all. At 11:50, we're gonna share. Try to get through as many of the questions as you can. Let me know if y'all got any questions. I'm gonna come down.
I don't actually.
I chose this because I like.
All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up the conversations. Looking forward to hearing what y'all have to share. So first things first, if I can have everybody's attention, I know, and y'all feel free to continue these conversations throughout, y'all day or y'all week, because I think there's a lot of good stuff happening right now, you know what I mean? So, but I want to hear from the comfort zone first, the comfort zone. Let me hear a little bit about what y'all have had to say.
So we all agree that we're all in our comfort zone, and I think it's more of like, we're all worried about like our future and the comfort of that, like what's gonna change for the future, and also like, I mean, I don't know. And yeah, we just have like great ideas, but I guess we're just so comfortable in the situation where we are, where we can take risks, but there's a lot of what ifs and questions and fears, and yeah.
So real quick, if there's one thing that you think after this workshop, next week or this week or whatever, what's one thing that y'all can do to like do something, move into the next zone, the fear zone? What do you think is one thing that y'all can do?
I think just like make little changes throughout the day and do things differently. Be more intentional.
Intentional. That's my favorite word. I say that all the time. Intentional, because yeah, that's where you see a lot of the change, right? It's through intention, not really the actions you're doing, but it's the intent behind the actions, right? So, thank you. I appreciate you for sharing. The fear zone. Let's hear from the fear zone. Briefly. Go ahead, bro.
So I think because there's a lot of things honestly that I'm not because I'm very fearful and I almost on the stage of well, not other
the failure zone?
Okay, so boom, failure. I chose this zone because I'm failing accounting right now.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. I'm working on it. And we're all kind of doing our different things and we failed as well. And so we're all just kind of working at it. And I think the one step which I really want to highlight, to take us to the next level is kind of just, crying. It's okay to cry, we've all had our things, got our rejections, and it's not communicating the correct way, and it's okay to cry, but that flight, self-care,
But that flight,
you need to go somewhere to take care of yourself, take that vacation and then come back with a new perspective and a different mindset. So that's our planning, the next step.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And finally, let's go to the growth zone. Those of you who have it all figured out, apparently. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead. Anybody want to share?
I wouldn't say we have it all figured out. You always gotta remember that growth is all about improving yourself, learning, being more than what you think you are at this moment. Trying out failures, not staying in the comfort, and even with fear overcoming you, still pushing through it. So I feel like all of us have kind of pushed through some of the fears we've had, have made multiple failures, but not let that stop our growth and continue on moving forward. And even continue on projects that we're already working on behind the scenes or out in the open. I feel like most of us already kind of got where we want to go. And even after college, I feel like most of us already have that path still set in mind. Me being specific, going to law school, that's just kind of me. Everyone else having their own goals going to. But more or less kind of not letting anything stop us from what we want to achieve, even when it's kind of overwhelming or others put you down, laugh at it, or whatever it may be, just not letting it stop.
So, snap it up for y'all, man. Snap it up for y'all. If y'all can make it back to y'all seat so we can close this out. Oh, man, you could have jumped. Man. Hey, my daughter. All right, y'all. I only got 4 minutes, so while y'all are walking back, I'm gonna start to close off. But yeah, y'all. I really hope that there are a couple things that you guys feel like you guys can take home after this workshop. I know that my main goal here today, I know I've had a lot of insights and hopefully you guys were able to take those in and all that. But the one thing I really want y'all to take out of this and leave this workshop with is a couple actionable steps that y'all can do after this, right? I hope that this inspires you for a lot of those who have that underlying question. I want to make an impact, but I don't know how. I hope that you guys have a little bit more of an idea now. And with that said, I do want to just hear from one person, just one before I get into questions. What is something that you took out of this workshop? Just one person.
I was scared for summer. I plan to go to California to be a camp counselor, and it's a big step for me. It's very picky on who they accept. And I was scared. I was like, I don't feel capable. I'm scared to take that next step. And this workshop really inspired me to just, be more confident and really take that step and grow. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get into questions, but this is my contact information. I didn't bring any cards. I didn't bring any cards on me, so add me on LinkedIn. My email, I respond at DMs as well. I respond on IG, so feel free to connect with me in that realm. But I'm open up for questions now if y'all got some.
One thing you talked about when talking about like getting unstuck was a perfectionism as a common barrier. And I know that I grapple with that. Like I want everything to be perfect, but then on the other side, I'm afraid that I don't want to find myself in the middle of something important and be unprepared. So like, how do you balance with that?
Definitely. So the biggest thing is that, yeah, because like you're waiting for the right time, right? Like you know how you want to have ample planning time. And yeah, you're right. There does have to be a mix and a balance. What you have to understand is from the planning phase of like in terms of everything, because also, I'm the senior program manager at EJS, so like I run programs and I do planning, right? A lot of times when I'm planning my programs, I end up making changes throughout the program because things happen that I didn't think of, and okay, now I have to change and adapt. That's a regular part of the process. You should never go in to something and your intention is, okay, this is how it is, and because I had all this planning time, it's gonna stay this way and it's gonna work. Because I promise you, it won't work. No matter how much time you spend planning or whatever. And I remember I say this all the time. And I hope nobody's offended, but this is the best way I could put it. If you guys can spend as much time as you want in the third floor to UC building logos and creating slogans and creating Instagram pages and doing all that feel good work. But at the end of the day, all that stuff doesn't matter if you don't get your boots on the ground and get started. You know what I mean? So do all that stuff you want, but you need to get on the ground, actually start, because I promise you, you will still have changes in between. Because it's just the reality of planning for social impact programming or organizations or whatever it is. So that's what I would say for that.
Thank you.
No problem.
First of all, I just want to say that I really enjoyed your presentation. I think every point you talked about, like I resonate with. I do want to ask, what was that transition to you from intern to then program manager, right? So how did you like elevate in that position, and like what did you do and how was the process?
Boom. The best way I could put it is with internships specifically, right? Like say if your goal is to get like a job at the end, right? If that's your goal and that's your intention. It wasn't mine originally for EJS, I'll be honest. But I go into every internship thinking, okay, I want to do the best I can because when I leave, I want them to feel it. You know what I mean? And it's not saying that in a bad way, but it's like I want them to think like, damn, they're going. What are we about to do now? You know what I'm saying? That's the mindset that, like in all the internships I've done, even in high school, I know I could go back into the city of Lauderhill. I could work. I could go into Charles and Schwab. I could work there. You know what I mean? Like, and I could go to EJS if I wanted to be at EJS for the next 20 years. I promise you I could, because I proved my worth and my value. And the process of doing that is really just putting your all into it. You know what I mean? And having that mindset that I want to be the best. You know, if not me, then who? Part of my job at EJS, say if it's to do something as small as closing up the office, right? I have to close the office. I have to turn off all the lights at the end. And there's 3 other people there with me. I don't wait on somebody else to cut off all the lights. Nah, bro, I do it myself. That's just the mindset I have in terms of putting my head down and getting to work. You know what I mean? That's what I say.
So we're talking about the zones: comfort, fear, failure, and growth. What zone do you believe you are now? And what zones have you gotten out of? And how did you get out of them?
Definitely. So, I for sure think I'm in the growth zone. And the reason why I think I'm in the growth zone is because my relationship with fear is so healthy. You know, like I see fear as a necessary step to growth. So that's why I'm in the growth zone. Looking at the zones right now, the comfort zone, and man, I was supposed to say this earlier, and I have to say this now. The reason why I got that internship at the EJS project is because of one of my mentors. His name was Jerry Hildebrand. God, Chris his soul, he passed away while I was here in Watson. And he was like a big member in our Watson and our social impact lab. He was the guy. And I remember when I was looking for internships, he had a list of 4, but he circled EJS, was like, hey, I think you're perfect for that. But at the time though, I was doing TAMKIN, I was busy. So I didn't have the opportunity to like reach out to EJS and be like, hey, I have time for internship and stuff. And then he passed away. And then that following semester, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it for Jerry. Like that internship was for Jerry. If it wasn't for Jerry, I probably wouldn't be in that internship. I wouldn't be here at EJS right now. Damn, I forgot where I was going. I know I wanted to say that part. Oh yeah, no, because Jerry Hildebrand had his favorite saying. That's why no growth happens in the comfort zone. And he always used to tell me that, and that's what helped me to get out of the comfort zone, because I know I wanted to grow. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I get you.
exactly. And once again, my desire to grow outweighed, my need for comfort. Yeah. Any more questions? Or is
I
that
just
it?
want to make sure if we are here for a couple more minutes, are we all okay?
Y'all good? I'm good. If y'all good.
It's like one or two more questions and then we'll wrap.
All right, then. Go ahead.
I think the biggest,
No, 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 you good, you good. Go ahead.
oh,
You're good.
thank you. I think the biggest learning I had from this workshop and this like slide is to take opportunities as they arise and also to have this growth mindset and to be vulnerable. One of the things is I noticed you're vulnerable in front of large audiences and that can be hard to do sometimes. How do you find the courage to do that? I found that really inspiring.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I would say the best way for me to respond to that would be, once again, I'm talking about certain things outweighing other things. I feel like a lot of people can relate to my story, and why would I hold that from anybody? You know what I mean? So it's like, once again, me understanding that piece and being like, okay, I feel like my want and my desire for people to hear my story and learn from it outweighs like what people are gonna think about my story. You know what I mean? Yeah, like for example, like that mental health story and all that, like that was something that I had to really spend some time and think about, because once again, I come from a family that's a lot more practical. I remember my family saying that mental health wasn't a real thing. Young people don't know how to handle stress, and that's it. That's what they used to tell me. And for a long time, I believed it, but then I had that rude awakening in 2020, and I'm like, nah, mental health is a real thing. So in terms of like how I got to that point is just by understanding that my story can help people, and just from hearing you talk, I know that your bottom line, the least thing that you want to do, period, is just help people, period. You know what I mean? Help people, period, and that's it. So and I found that my story is one way that I can do that. So no problem.
I think I would be the last question, but my last question is just how was the transition since you did graduate fairly recent? How was the transition from graduation from Watson into your role in EJ?
So the transition was super easy. And the reason why is because while I was here in Watson, and once again, what I want y'all to take away is I was here in Watson with my boots on the ground doing the work. I was doing TAMKIN while I was here in Watson. I worked at EJS while I was here at Watson. So the transition was super easy because, once again, one of my favorite parts about Watson is that Watson prepares students to be work ready right after they graduate. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a super easy transition. And the only advice I could give is just get your boots on the ground and let's get to work.
And you know, since you are Watson alumni.
Want me to hop on the stage?
Well, we can go to the stage.
Oh, no, stay down here.
Oh, stay down.
Stay down here?
For the photo, yeah.
Oh,
You're right. We gotta get on. You know, them fellas got to pop. Them fellas got to pop.
but from all of us here at Watson, your presentation was so spectacular. It was so great to hear from a student who was here. You shared your experiences, your vulnerability. You answered all of our questions, I think, that we all had. And I was locked in your whole entire presentation. I had hey man, I got a notebook full of notes. I had such a great time. So thank you so much for everything that you do and what you continue to do.
Oh my God, it's
And you know,
happening.
I
It's
should.
happening. It's happening, y'all.
That's right.
Oh my God.
We protect our courage and, you know, we protect our own. So if
I already know
you
what to
allow me. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Nah, that's so weird.
Oh my gosh, my bad. That's on
No,
me.
I think it's on me.
Delete that footage. Delete that footage.
Yeah. Go again, Angel. Go again.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, thank you guys, man. I really appreciate it. Like I said, really happy to be here. Super full circle moment for me, and I appreciate y'all for being locked in and actually hearing what I had to say. So I appreciate it, y'all. Thank you.
Man, Aarif's hugs will never get old. truly from the bottom of all of our hearts. I'm trying not to cry. Y'all don't even know. I mean,
Please don't.
yeah. No, I'll be real and you guys don't see this side, but man, Arif's a force. Like, this guy, like, he truly, I mean, when he makes you feel special, he makes you feel special, and he does not take anyone's time for granted, even though he was doing TAMKIN and all these things. I mean, he showed up to Watson 1000%. And I mean, he did not compromise on any part of what we talk about in our principles, the return on relationships, come to the window. I mean, if he wants to do it, boots on the ground is one thing, but he does it with such sincerity and honesty, and he's working with us. I mean, he left that out of his presentation, but Aarif is currently working with us in a contracting capacity as a program and ops lead. These few emails that you're getting from him, that's not on a volunteer basis. Aarif is here and he's getting paid, and all that to say is, I promise you, he will always have a space at Watson as well. So I share that to all of you, knowing that we are here truly to protect your courage. And if you show up, you know, we've got your back 1000%. But thank you, and to all of you. To all of you who showed up, please give yourself a round of applause. It's Friday. Happy Friday. We'll take our picture outside and we'll transition to the community.
Do it.
Yeah.